you. I am Brandon Roper.
And I am Otis Roper.
And we are still
the Super Roper Brothers.
It's good to be back, everybody. Once again, we are providing you with movies that we have seen that are not new, but they're young and hot.
Listen, these movies are old. There's no way around it. But there's a reason they made them this way, and they stand the test of time. They tell these stories and these values that are necessary. Yeah. And that brings us to one of the greatest movies I think that ever happened, as far as school, the tough school movie.
Yeah, tough teacher, tough school. He goes in, he's gonna make them kids do right by the scruff of their necks.
Yeah, it's Lean on Me, starring the iconic
Morgan Freeman.
Legend.
Go in and see if we can turn this thing around. I mean, nobody else wants the job.
East Side High was out of control, and then Joe Clark took over.
There.
Oh, there's having a stroke. Okay, he's not having a stroke, everybody. He's all right. So just to put that out there, it's one of those iconic teach them kids movies, as I call them. When I say teach them kids movie, we all know the plot. We all know the movie. They made a lot of these in the 90s randomly. It'd be like, and usually the plot in the 90s goes like this. It's a white, usually a woman. She goes into the hood. They're playing all this loud. Could you guys please quiet down? Could you guys please quiet? And then they don't listen
Who
to
are
her.
you teach a lady to come in here and tell me to turn off my obvious hip-hop music?
Well, you want to listen to hip-hop? Let's listen to this guy called Shakespeare. And it's like the bull crap that goes on in the movie. And then
we don't know him, lady.
And then by the end of it, she's wearing a do-rag and the kids are...
I want to thank you for taking me on this educational experience.
Yeah. All the kids, the girls in the back who were doing each other's hair at first, and now quoting Lady Macbeth and whatever. You all watch the movie. So this one is actually one that I like. It's just one that I like, even though I just ripped the genre to shreds. It's one of those types of movies I like.
They called him crazy.
You used to call me Crazy Joe? Well, now they can call me Batman.
Crazy for padlocking the doors.
You know me 30 years. You know what I would do.
Crazy for changing the rules.
This was before it became a genre.
Yeah.
This was a clearly overrun high school in a ghetto, and at that time in the 80s, the crack epidemic was hitting. It was hitting the nation. Nobody knew how to combat it. What do we do? And you had this anti-hero of Joe Clark.
Yeah.
Based off of
the real life man, Joe Clark. Joe Clark was an actual principal in East High School. He was literally brought in.
I'm sure his school wasn't reeling from the crack epidemic of the 1980s.
Well, not just the crack epidemic. What happens when you literally have more people in an area? This is what happened. By the way, this is very real thing. This very real thing, and I'm a history teacher, so you're about to learn some history, called redlining. What redlining did was it stuck all the black folk in one particular neighborhood in every city in America. This is not me making this up. This is what, when people say systemic racism, this is what they're talking about. Redlining was literally a legal practice enabled by the FHA and the federal government to help make sure that certain neighborhoods stayed racially homogeneous, okay? And so...
Wait, when you say racially homogeneous...
I mean pure, like one neighborhood be over here and it'd be white, and one neighborhood over here and it'd be clearly defined as black. In Kansas City, that neighborhood, that line is truced. Anybody who lives here knows it. Nobody should be confused by it. Truced, wall, that's what happens. So, when you get people stuck in one side of a city and there's not enough housing being built over there because none of it can be insured because you're not going to get a federally backed loan, you just have more and more people in an area and, we're going to put up some projects for y'all. That'll be fine. We'll put some places for you guys to go in so you don't have to come over here. Because you can't anyway. So there you get housing projects, and this is what had happened. This was an American problem, okay? This wasn't, and it was not a problem that happened to these people. It was done to them, okay? So you got people stacked up in this area. You got people like lower and lower education. The black middle class that could move away did move away, and so you've got even less people in the areas. Back when this stuff gets outlawed, and so you have, in that environment of kids that have been raised and poor kids, not as much opportunity. Definitely, it's not an accident that the school's overrun. Okay, public education is kind of almost designed to not be able to deal with these problems because it's not an actual education problem, it's a society problem.
Y'all keep coming here for movies. Y'all getting this work.
I'm sorry, I blacked out. What? Yeah, fun movie about Morgan Freeman saving the school.
But here's the thing about Lean On Me is that I think that you will find every character in that movie you have been or you've seen if you grew up in the school district that wasn't a private school. And everybody that went to privatized Catholic schools and that all your life, okay, fine. Our parents sent us to private schools in the beginning, and then we chose to do public education because we were doing it better, like it better.
Yeah, and then I started getting bused somewhere else, and then we moved. But this, once again, that's an American problem. In this story, Joe Clark was in the school district in the 1960s. Things were going well. The school was racially diverse.
And
then the teachers unions basically kind of gave away everything to the school boards, and we're just stopped fighting them. And Joe Clark goes in there and he's ready for the fight, and they don't have any. And he literally says it in the movie, this is the type of stuff that's going to turn black folk into a permanent underclass. And they don't listen to him. And then there's one of the greatest transitions with one of the greatest intros for a movie ever, with the iconic Axl Rose and the Guns N' Roses. Or Guns N' Roses, not Axl Rose. But it then transitions to what East High became in 20 years. Say is a hellscape void of education. So
it looked like Biff got the almanac.
Yes, it looked because Biff plus money equals hell on earth. We all know this. That's the equation. If you give Biff Tannen money,
if Biff Tannen should acquire curves.
Yes, then all hell comes to earth. That's how it is.
With that friend, red.
So Joe Clark obviously grew up in the alternate timeline.
And then
which is reality.
Yeah. And so Joe Clark comes back to the school in the 80s. Once it's just been, it's a nightmare. There's chicken wire in the cafeteria. Kids are jumping all over the place. There's a teacher gets their head busted open trying to break up a fight. It's all insane. And this is the foreground where they come in there and they go, we need to get somebody in here who can handle this. And so Joe Clark comes in and he just starts putting things right. He starts telling kids what's for. The first thing he does, though, however, and very importantly, was to kick all the drug dealers and kids that weren't there to actually do anything out of the school. That was the first thing he did. He expelled them all. Now, let me tell you, and this is what ends up happening in the movie, if you try to expel that many students in any sort of education as a principal, you'll be gone instantly. They will get rid of you as fast as they possibly can. Okay? The only thing that allowed that to occur in this movie, and I think in real life, was the fact that there were dire straits going on. There were fights in the parking lot, and assaults and other stuff that just were routinely happening.
If this was about fixing the problem, though, wouldn't that be a helpful solution?
Stop being pragmatic here, all right? We're talking about politics.
Okay, right.
So anyway, so what the problem is in the movie, I mean, you know, this is honestly, that's the whole plot of the film. There's nothing else really going on here. Like, it is a bare bones, he's trying to fix the problem. Now, here's what I will say. Watching this later, I did notice some softness in Morgan Freeman's performance in the beginning, like what he had to do. He had to soften himself because he was coming in there just busting heads. He was coming in there being like, you know, elbows, uppercuts, scratches, and scrapes all across the board. You catching nuts. You know.
We've been saying that forever. That's the family motto. Elbows, uppercuts, scratches, and scrapes.
I'm just saying.
Catch your head.
It's crazy. Like, but he has to learn from the teachers, hey, this isn't you can't do this by yourself. You need teachers. There are teachers here who care.
Yes.
You need other people.
I love that he does soften, and that moves the whole thing forward. What I also love about him is that this is the teacher that cares. This is the principal that cares. For those of you who've been in the educational system, now maybe not all your teachers that were awesome, maybe not they were not all like stellar, but I'm telling you, a couple teachers changed my life. And there are teachers out there that they really do care, and they told you the truth. They really do care, and they educated you the best they possibly could. I had teachers that broke their foot off trying to help me, and either I didn't want to hear it or I did hear it, and they changed my life. The Joe Clarks of the world are out there, and many of them never get any notoriety. They never get any news coverage. They never do that.
Yeah.
That's why this story is so simple, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
There is no Mr. Holland's Opus.
No.
If there isn't a Lean on Me.
That's true. I mean, and this goes back for this genre is not just this. I mean, there's To Sir with Love and all these other older iconic movies that kind of start this, but it's like the one that was like the big one in our lives, like for sure. This was the first one of this type that I ever saw, and it definitely was like, led the way for like A Dangerous Minds, and then it became such a thing that it even got parodied in High School High with John Lovitz, which is hilarious and kind of in almost the spirit of an I'm gonna get you sucker type movie.
Very well.
But I will say this about the film, as like, you know, I'm a teacher. I will say this: being a teacher is like you serve. I have served in the company of some of the most caring humans. And they care every day. They're there every day in circumstances that are far less than ideal, doing the best they can with what they have. And even as they get, I mean, they're standing on there. It's a rickety chair that basically has the whole bottom legs are like about to come off, and there's people steadily chopping at the bottom of the chair. And these teachers are trying to do what they can. They're trying to do what they can to make things work, and that's what being a teacher is. And so watching this film, I've never been on the principal side of it. God willing, I never will be, because that's not something I ever want to do. But I really do love how he comes in, and it really is a position of being about the kids. When he comes in, he's not concerned with what's going on with the school board. He's not concerned with what's going on with all the parents being mad because he kicked their children out of school. He's not concerned with any of that. He's concerned about the kids who are in the building who are trying to learn. And that's what any educator, anybody who's worth their salt, knows that that's the core of what your being should be.
But Joe Clark was only crazy about one thing: the kids he cared about.
You mess up just once, and you're out of here.
I'll help you carry on.
You are here for one reason only: to learn.
So that's why this movie, for me, is phenomenal.
If educating kids is really about educating kids, then we would make sure that they have the finest facilities.
No.
We would make sure that they have the finest funding.
No, what we're going to do is make sure that we have the finest aircraft carriers that can stay around the Strait of Hormuz to make sure all the oil goes through it. As far as buildings are concerned, yeah. Anyway, that's if you live in a nice neighborhood also.
The views of Super Roman weather
100% match what we're saying right now. Anyway, 100%. So yeah, Lean on Me. It's iconic. It's legendary. You should watch it.
these movies help shape us and make us. And if we found the joy in looking like, this is what happened to me, this teacher cared about me, this teacher loved me, this guy he was loved enough in teaching to become a teacher. Like, I worked in the school district as a long-term substitute for a long term myself. Teachers change lives. So to all the Joe Clarks out there who really love kids and really are making the difference with the kids, I want to dedicate this episode to you guys. That's why we had to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't praise myself. I work in a company of heroes. I work with people who do the best they can with what they've got in circumstances, like I said, that are far beyond ideal. We do what we can, and I love my teacher family.
So all you teachers out there that's doing it the right way, okay, we appreciate you. Love you, Super Roper Brothers. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode.
Yeah, of us going retro, we appreciate it. I am Brandon Roper.
I am Otis Roper.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Morgan Freeman stars in the true story of Joe Clark.
My motto is simple. If you do not succeed in life, I don't want you to blame the white man. I want you to blame yourself.
From the director of Rocky and the Karate Kid.
Welcome to the new East Side High.
Lean on Me.
Fair East Side, by thy side will stand and always praise thy name. Praise thy name, praise thy name. To ever, yeah, lend our hearts and hands to help increase thy fame. Ooh, Lord, the honor, yeah, of old East Side High, cause forth our loyalty. Loyalty. So cheap.
All right. Who taught you that? Answer me. I know you didn't do it yourselves. Sam's.
What?